I have not done an interview in a hot minute. So I was like, let me hit record before I don't. And then we don't have a show.
It has been a while since you've interviewed somebody, haven't you?
Yeah, I
No, I'm
did it.
thinking about it.
I did a bunch of them in a row, and then I took a break, and I've just been doing some solo episodes. I want to reflect on those and then kind of come back and, just build upon like what I learned throughout those interviews. Just be like a better interviewer.
You mentioned that to me, or I guess a few months ago. I think that's actually really good. I think in fact, there's a couple episodes that you had done that you were reflecting on them, covered points. I think that's actually really good because that permeates the topics to people when they're out and about and they're doing stuff, and it's like, oh, that's right. Because there's been many a time while I'll listen to somebody or I'll do something and then I'll remember, oh, they were talking about, I had to go back now and go find the episode and all that. But no, that covers it. So that
Yeah,
background looks pretty cool, man. It looks dope.
thanks. It's like a vinyl tablecloth. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know when you bought it, you showed it to me and I was like, okay, let's see how that goes. And I'm like, man, I'm just gonna use this blurred background. I'm too cheap.
No, I like it. Well,
Gas too high.
if you want to splurge the $14,
Oh,
you can get something like that right from Amazon, baby.
it looks good though, with the lighting and everything. It looks good.
Yeah, and I normally wear black, right? So I have black, blue, green, and pink. Those are like my colors, right? And so it goes with the background. It
No,
works.
yeah, no, that's good. It's a good change. I'm wearing black today. Boom. I hardly ever wear black, but did today.
The only black shirt I have clean right now, because my life, I'm a little behind. Let's be transparent. I'm a little behind right now. It's a long sleeve shirt, and in my bedroom, I didn't have the AC running, and it's far too hot, way too hot for a long sleeve shirt right now.
How hot is it up there right now?
Listen, it's not Texas hot, okay?
All right. We'll see.
It's like in the high 80s, 90s, but that's hot for us.
If that's
That's
hot for you, it's hot for you. It's funny because that Cornell Mac on Mac Landscaping, their podcast, they say the same thing. I heard them chirping yesterday or today. They were like, oh yeah, we're out there busting it. It's like 85, 89 degrees. I'm like, what? But no, hey, it's all relevant though. If I go up there in January, I'm like freezing my nips off and I'm like, how do y'all live out here? And it's like every day to y'all.
oh,
It is what it is, man.
rocking some shorts. We're like, oh, it feels good. Like if it hits, in February, March, or whatever, if it hits 50 degrees, literally you will start seeing people in short sleeve shirts and shorts. They're like, it's summer, baby. Like we're ready to rock and roll, 50-degree weather.
Oh, it's all relevant. No, right now, when I first texted you, and it was 105, and I think the index was 112, 111.
That is so hot.
But that's
Nope.
hot for us.
Yeah.
That's a hot one. I mean, this has been a hot summer. It really has. And every few years we'll have a really good hot one. We've had some summers where we had 2 or 3 days of over 100. And then there's been some summers where 30, 40, 60 days in a row, it was over 100, like serious over 100. I remember I was just telling my workers as I was letting them go, we have a community I have like 30, 40 houses in. And
Nice.
at the time I had like 60 or 70 because I was doing a builder at the time as well. So we were doing their spec model homes, residentials, and then we bought a route up. So we had about 60, maybe even 70 in this one community. So we were out there for a couple days. And oh man, that year the actual temperature got to like 108, 109. Might have even been 110, Erica. And I think the heat index was still at like 115, 116 because it's like it didn't get any higher because the temperature is so damn high, So it was pretty bad. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Lone Star, it just gets that way.
Yeah.
So it's not
Now,
a big deal.
I actually want to snowball on that. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I figure we can just kind of go with the flow, but I want to give you a proper, introduction. So I'm going to do my intro, and then we can hop into how you handle this heat and some tips and tricks, because you've been in the industry for a long time and I know you've picked some stuff up. So for the listeners that are maybe new in business, we can kind of talk about that. But Let me do my intro. What's up,
Fire.
Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Krupin, and today we have a special guest. I'm very, very excited. He is the host of the Lawn Star Lawn Talk? I always mix that up a little bit. He owns Southern Suns Landscaping, and he is my good friend, Andrew Martinez. Welcome to the show again.
What up, Erica?
So happy to have you back.
It's always a treat, man. Y'all are awesome. It's always good. It's great meeting you guys, and it's always fun coming on your podcast. I love to know how far you've gone, how far you've taken it, how far you're gonna take it. You're spitting words of knowledge all the time. I mean, it's really cool. Really appreciate always coming on here. It's always a treat.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, you were a big help in the beginning of this podcast because I know I was super hesitant and you kind of gave me some good words of encouragement. And so for those of you that are listening, it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people and people that are doing the things that you want to do, so they can help uplift you. It's so important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because I was intrigued because when I first, for all of those out there who don't know our relationship, I first heard about you through actually a landscape guy, Caleb Bauman. You had him. You were on his podcast. What is it? Kid Contractor, I guess a couple of years ago now, maybe more than that. And I was out mowing a lawn and I heard, I'm like, man, that's cool. Because I've seen poop scoop vehicles in my Metroplex. I've seen things like that, but I haven't really seen a market dominance like on social media or on YouTube at the time. And I really think you were probably one of the few people that started breaking into that then. And man, rest is history, man. It was reached out to you. Got to get on my podcast. You got to come on. Did a coaching call with you and just said, hey, because I'm not full fledged like you guys are and all the friends in the poop scoop world that I met through you, but it solves a problem for my existing lawn clients. And let's just say this, I don't have any more crappy backyards I got to send my mowers through anymore. And if we do, we just say sayonara.
Which is perfect because the last thing that you want on 110 degrees day is some dog poop splattered all over your face from the weed whacker.
That's right. Yeah.
So you guys call it the weed whacker?
Well, there's all kinds of there's whippersnipper. I've heard whippersnipper before. I've heard weed whack. I heard the trimmer. Heard all kinds of stuff. But to each his own. Whatever part of the world, whatever part of the nation. So
yeah.
But,
you're still scooping? That's going good for your current customers?
Yeah. I've pretty much, and I've told this to guys on that I bring on my podcast or I console or I talk to. I'm like, it's just part of my business policy now, because I don't know if you remember, but even before I met you, I put my foot down, not even really anticipating it being a business or raising margin or adding an extra service to my business or anything like that. I actually just added it just so I'm not getting sprayed in the face with it. And I'm not tracking it on my tires and for my guys and all that. And I just said, hey, if you got animals and you're not picking it up, I'm scooping it. And if it's something that you haven't signed up for, I'm leaving it on your porch so you can see how much has been collected. I don't dump it out from a scooper or anything. I bag it up. I double bag it up a couple times, and I leave it there. Then I charge them. Some people I've heard just charge an inconvenience fee of like $20, 20, whatever they set it to
Each time.
Yeah. If it's there and they don't pick it up. For me, they don't really solve any problems. I'm like, well, I see what you're saying. Go ahead. But I'm going to charge that rate, but I'm going to pick it up too, because it's just going to get worse. So it's going to get to a point where, let's say your fee's $20, right? Okay. So you show up one week, you're tracking it all in your mowers, you're mowing over it or whatever. But then the next week it's compounded. The week after that it's compounded. The week after that, and then it turns into dry stuff. Then you're hitting it and it's dusty and it's getting in your face and it's just awful. Then that $20 fee is like not worth it. Then you drop the client, then nobody's winning there. But anyways, so that's kind of where I jumped on and then that's when I discovered at that point that's when I started implementing it into my business. And then I met you, then I started following you and everybody else. And now I'm actually, I keep thinking I'm going to try to start a business in poop scoop, but I don't know. There's like 5 or 6 here locally that are pretty big and they've kind of got the market share there, I think. So,
Think about how many landscapers there are,
Oh, you're true. Yeah.
So I always feel like you can start the business. You just have to figure out how you're going to set yourself like apart from your competition or for the local talent or whatnot, because you have your own spin on it. But if you're already doing it right and it's already going with your landscaping company, I mean, why file some more taxes? Why have to keep a separate books,
Oh, that's true. And it's funny you say that, because my brother, he was wanting to think about doing something like that with me. And I was like, well, we can umbrella it under my business name, under the brand that's been around for, 10 years already. Been in
Oh
business
yeah.
for 15 years plus, but it's like, you see things driving around all the time, like, oh, this is irrigation service, but then it's, product of X service or whatever. It's
True.
like, we can do the same thing. You're right. Save the taxes on that, or save the haggle and toggle of setting up a new truck, a new LLC, a new license, whatever. And that would, yeah, you're right. That saves a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. If it's all together. If you don't mind me asking, all right, so you have your prices
Yeah.
for your landscaping, and
Mhm.
then so what are you charging on top of that for the poop scooping? Do you have like a
Well,
set price?
kinda. So if you don't recall, when you're helping me with my website sometime back, I was showing you my pricing for Poop
Yeah.
Scoop. I don't know if you remember any of that, but I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't really spend a lot of time, and I know I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with the listeners and stuff, because I'm going to have this on my podcast, and I always say, oh, you need to know your numbers and all that. But I just kind of mimic what my local market's already charging versus people around the nation, kind of come up with an average. But then there's the custom points, like if you have really large dogs or even small itty bitty dogs, that poses a problem. You could spend more time with a 2 or 3 little chihuahuas, than, 2 or 3 mastiffs out there, because mastiffs, or a German shepherd, or, these bigger weighted dogs, you can see their droppings pretty easily. But now the
Yeah.
little guys, oh man. And it's even weirder, because I'll always scoop a lawn before, and I'll get to the price in a second. I'll always scoop a lawn before I hit with the mower and stuff. But then even when I go and I mow the lawn, more gets uncovered when I cut the grass down, so it's pretty interesting. But as far as the pricing goes, I do kind of, it is kind of somewhat standardized. If you're hiring our service, you just saw us on an ad on the website or whatever, and you want Poop Scoop and nothing else, I think it's initial visit. I think I have to look on there again. I think it's like 50 plus, 60 plus, or whatever that is. And then ongoing's like $15, $15 to $20 a dog, depending on the situation. And then with every dog, every other dog or something like that, I'll put an extra $5 or $10 on there. Not refined. I'm still kind of squeaky on it,
It's all right.
but that's not really what I'm aiming for. I'll still do it if you're in my local market and it's convenient and it's close to my lawn route or something. I'll still go by and do it, no problem. But then now my lawn clients, same model, same concept, but I throw a couple more discounts in there because we're already there to mow. So if we're
Right.
cutting your grass for 50, $60, I advertise to you and say, hey, it's going to be $15, but you sign up, it's actually going to be $12. So I knock like 10, 15% off the top. And every 2 dogs that you have, I only add $5. So you're about 17 to $22 on average per lawn right now. Of houses I'm actually mowing, that I do the Poop Scoop as well. So
And
that makes
that's
sense.
great, because that's extra income. You're already there. You're already having to deal with it. Now, are you grouping the price together? Like when you send the invoice, are you just grouping it as one flat rate, or are you itemizing it? Like, this is how much your lawn is. This is how much it is for scooping.
Itemized.
Okay, cool.
Itemized, just so everybody knows. And now I've been an advocate of doing in and out times reflected on my invoice, but for the lawn service, because that's a higher ticket item when we're
Yeah.
there. But and I push this on my podcast, and I push this in my business practice, trying to find those easy things that you can do while you're already there, much like yourself. Fragrances, sanitary sprays, whatever it is you put out there, or disinfectant for the lawn. I think you've mentioned something like that. What I do is, that's what I push. It's like, well, you can weed flower beds, you can Poop Scoop, you can do some of these, you can power wash something, or Do some small, easier things that you're not spending a lot of extra time on, but you can tack on an extra 10 or $15 and you can turn a $45 to $55 weekly cut into like a, a $70, stop. But you're actually delivering valuable service. Cause I mean, that's kind of nice, lady, guy leaves in the morning, backyard full of crap, beds full of weeds, the lawn's overgrown, come back in the night, hey, there's not a dropping out there, freshly cut lawn, and the beds look good already, and so it delivers a lot of value.
And that puts a smile on people's face. I know when I come home, because my lawn gets cut on Tuesdays, after a long day, I come home, I'm like, yeah, the lawn's mowed. I know my husband's super happy. And it stopped fights between us because he's a tree guy. He works outside all the time, right? The last thing he wants to do is come home and cut our lawn because that's not his jam. And so we hired it out a couple years ago and we were kind of talking about it. I was like, when was the last time you cut a lawn? He's like, shh, we're not going to talk about it.
I love it.
I'm like, when do I get a housekeeper? And he's like, shh, we're not there yet. I'm like, yeah, we better get there, buddy.
That's so funny. I was actually talking about my wife about that because several of our friends have housekeepers and stuff, and we've just never had a housekeeper. And I mean, it's just another bill and it creeps up after a while. But man, again, if it's worth it, it's worth it. I mean, if it makes people's life easier and y'all aren't fighting, hey man, hire two of them. I don't know, but it's yeah, no, I totally get it. How much are you paying for your lawn to be cut there? You're on a corner lot, I think, right?
I'm on a corner lot. It's a front and back. And I pay for the entire season because I want that little bit of a discount.
Oh, cool.
I want to say it's no more than 1,400 for the season or 1,500 for the season, but it might be less.
Cuts, 27.
Yeah, something like that. And then I think I have an aeration peppered in there. I don't know if it's a fall aeration or a spring. I don't remember. All I know is it looks good and I'm happy to just pay.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess it can range from 40 to $45. I think it's probably what it is.
Yeah, because he was 35 and I think it went up to 40 or 45. And then,
I need to have him on the podcast, kind of put some do the what's Paul James, the price increase letter, introduce him to that, piss off a friend of mine in Michigan.
Yeah, no, so I actually got a rate increase letter from him. And then I also got a snow removal because he does snow removal. And this is when we were getting into it. And so I seen the letter and I was like, okay, well, this is perfect. We're going to do snow removal. So I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I use your letter as like a reference to kind of put one together for myself? He's like, yeah, sure. Not a problem. I'm like, cause we're going to do snow removal on like a low scale, see how it goes. So I did, I used his letter. And then with the rate increase letter, I wanted to use his, but it didn't fit what I needed because the verbiage was just so different. But yeah, he taught me that
it's awesome
that you send the letter out, either the people are going to want your service and pay it or they're not going to. So it's you have to do it. You can't be scared.
Well, Erica, it's crazy. I'm so glad he did that and he gave you that advice because it wasn't until now that's a regular thing over the radio waves, I think, when in more and more industries is raising your prices regularly. Not a lot, but but you need to. And if you stop and think about it, other industries, they raise prices and don't even tell people. I'm almost getting to that point where I'm not even going to tell people, hey, it's $45 this year. It's going to go up to 47. Might be closer to $50 charge. And when they realize it, it's like, oh yeah, we had to go up on our rate. And that was it.
Yeah.
I've actually had a podcast on that. Like, hey, what would people do? I mean, what would you think would be more professional when retailers, mechanics, people all around you are raising prices because they really have to, because there is such thing as inflation. I mean, shoot, when you do retirement plans, I mean, inflation over a course of 30, 40 years is accounted for that. So you have to raise prices. And ultimately, I agree with that guy. It's like, now, after hearing podcast after podcast, talking to folk, these different forums, and actually doing it myself, it's kind of asinine not to raise prices every year because everybody around you is. And I don't think you're really seeing super profit unless for you and me, our businesses, unless we're like super dense, then we will see more of an actual profit. But that's just because we're being fiscally responsible on another part of our business, we're not truly making the extra money because, milk and bread's going up, eateries around us are going up, everything's going up, taxes are going up, property tax, everything. So
Everything.
you're not real. People might get, and the guy was right. I'm over here blowing hot air at you now, but the guy was right. It's like if people ultimately want to keep your service, they're going to fire you over $5. You don't need them in your life anyway. And if customers and clients are listening, sorry, it is what it is.
Well, because we're business owners, right? And so when I got the letter, I told my husband, I was like, the price went up. And, Josh was like, what the hell? What do you mean it went up? And I was like, well, are you going to mow the
What?
lawn?
I'm
And he's
gonna
like,
smack him next time I see him.
well, he's just doing whatever. And I was like, well, we had the conversation. I'm like, are you going to go buy a lawnmower? Are you going to
Yeah.
get the stuff? And are you going to mow the lawn? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, guess what, sir? We're going to pay it. But like as a consumer, we notice, but we got to make the decision. What are we going to do? And that's how, as business owners, we can't feel bad because we raised the price up, I don't know, $5 or whatnot. And you feel guilty. You're like, oh, they said they're tight on money, but then you see them come home with McDonald's. You see them with a new car. You see them do stuff at their houses, and it's like they have money. They have it.
Erica, this is one of my first few Instagram posts I put up on my Southern Sun on my business site, business one. When I really started believing and falling into all this and accepting it without guilt, raising prices, going up on frequency, pushing and making standards to your business. When I got terminated by a client that I had at the time, I think it was 2017, 2016. I had got terminated by this client, and I had him since my first round of flyers I put out back in 2009.
Wow, that's a long time client.
I had him going on 10 years, maybe 10 years. And we had a good relationship, and I did it every 2 weeks, and it was like a $35 cut, whatever. And I got terminated because I didn't raise his price. I just took him to a weekly basis standard. That's just how it's going to be moving forward. Within the same day, sorry, we're moving on. Thanks for everything. And that was it. And I mean, I knew their kids' names and all this stuff. And I was kind of TO'd. It was a little bit more personal for me, and shoot, not even within a week, maybe a month. It was a little while after he had terminated the service. He was at the same bank, that local bank that we frequent. He was sitting there pulling out $100 bills out of the ATM, literally pulling $100 bills out of the ATM, getting into his year-to-date Audi to go home. And I'm like, you know what? I felt so much better.
Yeah.
You don't need him in my life. I was like, I can't believe that. And it just really, and everybody knows, you've probably been there before. You've probably felt that way. I mean, that's exactly, I mean, if you know. I mean, if that's happened to you before, it's happened. And that's why I'm always like, now raise those prices, go a higher frequency, make a different standard in your business. And if people, I need a budget, or what, you can tell by where they're living if they're serious on a budget or not. And some people may look like they need to live on a budget, and they have $100 grand in their mattress.
Yeah, it's very true. You don't know. And that I had the situation where somebody had talked me down on prices. I she talked me down, and I was upset with myself that I didn't stay firm, but I felt bad. And when I went to go service the property, come to find out the reason why she was hiring me is because her son, I believe, was at their lake house. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, she just talked me down on my price. I want a lake house. And after that, I said, Erica, you really got to pull it together. And what I realized is, especially with the poop scooping, our ticket price is pretty low, right?
I was just going to ask you, I was like, you can't negotiate too much. I mean, you're not working with a lot per service.
Well, it was
have like
for
10 dogs.
It was for like a spring clean. I think that's what it was for. It was like a larger clean.
Okay.
But what I've learned is when we can charge more, obviously we can be at the property longer. We can take that extra time. We can bring the trash cans back. We have the time to take the pictures of the closed gate and email it to the customer, send a follow-up message. We're able to do all of those little things with communicating with our customer that sets us apart from a lot of other companies, because around here, I don't know if it's like this by you, the service industry communication is terrible. Like, and it blows my mind. Like, I want to get my bathroom redone and I'm trying to get a hold of this contractor. I'm like, please take my $20,000 and redo my bathroom. Please. Nothing. Crickets. I
Yeah,
can
no, it's the same. Everybody I talk to, it's the same thing all around, no matter what industry. I mean, Mitchell Gordy, Mythco Outdoor Services, he said the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what industry you're looking at. I mean, you literally need to call. I just picked up a set of houses from one lady here locally. She called 17 people just to cut her grass. 17. So you said, hey, take my money. I want to spend good money for a good service, and nobody calls back. Yeah, that's been the number one complaint. Stop showing up and terrible communication. Those are two of the top, you're right, two of the top complaints that I get down here. That's exactly the same way.
And I think it was last year. It was either last year or the year before. I got very busy and I wasn't picking up my phone. And I had a pet expo, a very large one here in Michigan, call me and leave me a voicemail because they wanted me to be a sponsor for this
Oh,
expo.
yeah.
Guess who didn't call them back? I did not call them back because I wasn't answering my phone. I lost it.
Wow.
And a local, which I'm so happy that she has it. I really am. I'm truly proud of her. She's doing amazing things. She has it now. And this is her third, I think this is her third year going back, or maybe second year. And when I seen her post that, I had two feelings. One, I'm so incredibly proud of her and I'm happy her business is flourishing. She's going to do amazing things. And the other part of me is like, that could have been you, Erica, but you didn't answer your phone because you were too busy. And I wasn't, I
Yeah.
just wasn't organized. At that time, I didn't have things
Mm.
together. And so from that, being in business, I'm learning if I can't answer my phone all the time, customers want to talk to somebody. They want to
Mhm.
hear that warm voice, especially with how automated things are now. So I hired a virtual assistant. They answer the phone. They're sweet ladies. The company is called, I'm going to drop the name, you guys. I haven't been doing this. I'm going to drop it here. Office Brigade, and they're out of Washington State.
Office Brigade. Pretty
Office
cool.
Brigade. I work
Awesome.
with Kimberly, and everybody that I've talked to, they say, oh, Kimberly was so nice. You know, they did such a good job. And when there's customer complaints, right? So sometimes things happen when you got employees, right? And customers call
Yep.
in hot. They answer it, they take the information, they brief me of what's going on, and then they patch the person over. So I have a moment to like brace myself before I have that conversation with the hot customer. Because have you ever gotten a phone call and they're hot and you're like, well, I wasn't ready for that. Like, whoa.
Man, it's very far and few in between. I'm not saying that as a brag. I'm just, I try to do as much due diligence up front as possible.
That's
If it's
good.
coming, I know it's coming. Let's just say that. So it's like, well, I'm going to do this. It can wind up one or two ways kind of thing. Or, you know, if the guys call me from the road, hey, this happened, or hey, cut the lawn too low. Like this one, for instance, earlier in the season, a new guy gouged out a couple strips of grass. So it's nice, plush, green treated grass.
Ooh.
And he had the setting set way too low, and it just was a run. It was awful. It sucked. And I took the picture that my driver got, and I just sent it to the client. Hey, this happened. Just letting you know. So when you come home, I'm sorry, and I gave him a solution. But yeah, I mean, I get it more from text and stuff. I haven't really. I think when I meet people up front, I try to put off the demeanor of, hey, you're not going to run over me. You yell at me, we're done.
Well,
You
my
know.
situation was
So
I had he's no longer an employee anymore, staff member. He left a gate open and
oh, I
got
think I
out.
remember you telling me about. Yeah, not me. I heard it on your podcast. Oh,
Oh,
go
it was
ahead. I want to
bad.
hear this.
It was my
A
stepson,
little bit
son.
different. These are fur babies. I'm just cutting the grass. So,
Right. I was having the best Friday. It was a fabulous Friday. I had gotten Botox, getting my forehead snatched.
nice.
I had gotten some cake from my favorite cake place. I got a coffee and I was going shopping for my son's graduation dress. I'm in the dressing room trying on all of these dresses, and all of a sudden I get a message from the virtual assistant saying, "Hey, there's an issue. A gate was left open and two dogs got out. The customer's on the other line,
Heart
very, very
sinks.
upset." And I was like, and so I didn't know it was coming. And so I had to hurry up, get proper, take a couple deep breaths and just answer the phone. And so I'm just happy I had that buffer, and he was very upset. He wanted free service. And I didn't know really how to handle it. I apologized, but
Sir,
I
don't
also
get mad at me because your dogs want to escape your house. Come on, I don't know what's going on over there.
well, I started to get upset. I started to
No,
get a
sure.
little upset too, because the way that he was
Mm,
talking to me and how he was demanding free service, and the fact that
gotcha.
his
Yeah.
gate was already, it wasn't a very secure gate in the
Mm,
first place. Okay.
okay.
And so that's the reason now, because when I spoke with my employee, he's like, listen, I closed the gate wasn't secure. So I don't know what really happened there. And I had no proof. So now I use the CRM jobber. Before we can close out the job, there is a what is it called? I don't know, like a trigger. I can't think of what it's called. It's a job form that we have to fill that out. We have to take a picture and we email it to the
Yeah.
customer
Yeah.
before I close out the job. And that way, if this happens again, I pull it up, I look, and I say, hey, we closed the gate. Your email got sent to you at said time. And hopefully that prevents any of us from doing that, because it's a reminder that pops up, hey, you didn't fill out the job form. Because as you know, we get an autopilot, right? We do the
That's
same
right.
thing every
Yeah.
day, every week. We do these yards, and sometimes
Hmm.
we're just all up in our head. And have you ever left a yard and you're like, did I close that gate? Did I do this?
All
Did I
the
forget a
time.
rake? You know?
All
And
the
then
time. I can't tell you. And well, kind of lifting you up. Listening to your podcast and being engaged with you it definitely reminds me on a regular basis to double check those gates. It doesn't take much to check those gates. And in fact, I'm pushing it so much to the guys respectfully. They're not thinking I'm some, totalitarian saying, no, go do this, or you're this, or you're this. I'm just saying, hey, check that gate. Hey, was that gate closed? Hey, was that latched? Hey, was that bar down? Hey, did you hear the click? Hey, 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 because it just takes, I'll turn back if they're uncomfortable, even 5 minutes out, because I don't want to face what you're facing. I'm dealing with dogs too, fur babies. It hadn't happened to me in a long, long time, but you're absolutely right. Doesn't take much to turn around and double check and secure those gates, even if they're kind of faulty. Now, to be honest
yeah,
with you, if it's a faulty gate, that can go either way. I mean, I've been through that before, and not to the point where animals got out, but it would be unnerving to some people. And I just, hey, you got a faulty gate. I've already told you about this a number of times. We can provide service to that for you, or address it, or jimmy rig it, or do something to make it
hmm
more secure. But I mean, they try to take advantage. But no, you're absolutely right, and so I appreciate that with you. When I listen, I'm getting to a point now where I think I probably checked my gates more in the last 2 years than I have probably the entire time I've been in lawn and landscaping.
And thank
So
you so much, because we run in like last week. I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. I arrived to a property and the gate was open, and that I could tell the grass was freshly mowed. And especially if
dang.
there's several people servicing the property, right? And you happen to be the last one, or not the last one, but you happen to be there.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna get blamed? Somebody's gonna get blamed for it. And so if it goes down, I want to have that documentation to prove that I closed that
Amen.
gate, so they
That's
can
right.
figure it out between the landscaper or the pool guy or their kids. You know what I'm saying? So I'm out
Yeah.
of the mix. So I love that. And I actually I had a ghetto gate at my house. Let me tell you what my landscaper did to me.
Uh-oh.
So
This is good stuff right here.
And it so my husband, I love this man. Woo! I do, but he can drive me nuts sometimes.
We're good
Um,
at that.
right? And he's got a trailer. He's usually really good about backing it up. He can usually back his trailer up one time, get it where it needs to go, sometimes two. But when we first moved in here, he hit the gate a little bit, so the doors were pretty messed up.
Mm,
And as time gone on, the gate has just gotten like worse and worse. It's just a chain link fence gate, nothing fancy, nothing nice. Well, to close it, we've just been putting like bungee cords on top of bungee cords, and they've been breaking. this is not good. Tell me why I seen a picture of my gate on his business page, specifically saying that if your gate is like this, we cannot service your property. So I screenshotted it
That's awesome.
and tagged my husband in it on Facebook with a mad face emoji. I said, sir, you need to fix this.
That's great.
It's
That's
fixed.
real life.
It's fixed now, but I sent them a message and I apologized. I said, I should have known better. I'm a business owner as well.
Yeah.
If somebody had a faulty gate like this, I wouldn't have serviced them. So I apologize for my negligence and thank you for even like putting it on blast like that, because it was embarrassing. It was He didn't tag me, but it was like embarrassing, but it got my husband moving and grooving. So it worked. But yeah, that happened last week.
Man, that's awesome. How's your 75 hard going? I'm gonna do some shifting around. How's your 75 hard going?
Yeah, it's what are we on? Day 11. It's going good. It's going
Better
really
person
good.
than me. See you there. You post up your workout things and the new apparatuses you get and stuff. I'm like, man, how could you do that after a day of scooping? Good for them, man. That's crazy. It's commitment.
Not every day it's been easy. This is my third or fourth time restarting. I had gotten to day 12 about a month ago. Some family stuff happened. I fell off the wagon. But I think the only thing I need to do is my reading. I've already drank my water. My 2 workouts are done. I took my picture. So I just need to do the reading. It's important to me because I'm really trying. I really am trying to be consistent. I struggle with eating. Eating is something that I really, really struggle with. And I don't want to end up diabetic or on blood pressure medication. So I'm trying to do it right now to get the discipline so I can have
It's good.
discipline in my business and take care of the stuff that's been like on my cork board for the past 6 months to do. Because you know how you want to create a new policy in your business and you're like, I'll do it. And then it's been a year and you're like, what?
Well, that's what I think is so great about programs, self-disciplining and self-help programs like 75 hard. It's kind of literally like the Hard Knock University. Because when you go to university, I thought you would go to sometimes you go to gain knowledge, but if you get a business degree, marketing degree, stuff like that, you're really getting these degrees and people want to see that you can finish something. And not just that, but most of the time, sometimes no, more often than not, the individual has a job, is going to classes, has relationships. It gets you to discipline yourself, create systems and processes in a sense, get used to these programs so you can start handling and toggling and be able to ultimately be a refined individual in business and life. It develops you. And that's what I like about the 75 hard and these different things like that, because in life as a grown up, we've been adulting for 20 plus years already, but we need these revamps. And it's so great to know that, hey, people out there are still growing in the midst of having businesses, having full blown families, having all this. You're still expanding yourself. Because I guess what I'm trying to say is you're doing that. And it's not just the accomplishment of it. And yeah, there's some health benefits and some mental benefits, but it's actually you're reinstilling habits within yourself that you can bleed into your business, bleed into your family, bleed into just everyday life and be a more disciplined person. And that's where the 1% is, man.
Yeah.
And you're getting it. So that's why I wanted to ask about that. And it's tough being a business owner and being the mama of the house and everything. It's not an easy feat. So good on you for taking that challenge on.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I was going to ask you, since we're shifting, you have your business and you're doing the social media thing. You're podcasting consistently, not just one episode a week.
Consistently.
Well, listen.
Thank you, though.
You're popping up. Like new episodes are coming on. You're putting out good content. And can we talk about the huge convention? Have you talked about that yet?
I was trying to find a good time so we can talk. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing the things and I'm right there with you. Like I'm doing the things too. I'm going to be at the huge convention.
So glad you can get on Podro. Naylor says I think it's
Podro.
Love
I messaged him. He said, yeah, I can be on Podro. I'm terrified. I haven't podcasted out of this bedroom.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, man. No, yeah, it's fun. It's one of those things. It's like going. It's like not even doing a skydiving, because I think bungee jumping is scarier than skydiving. But if you're like right at the edge, but once you're in it, it's just like this. It's just there's no screen, there's no radio wave in between. You're talking to the person. Yeah, you gotta be a little more on top of it. Look, I mean, I'm trying to talk like I know what I'm doing. I've only done it a handful of times, but I'm just saying you're a natural. You can get it done. It's no problem. It's going to be dope. And you're going to have Paul Jameson there, Naylor Taliaferro. You're going to have John Page. You're going to have these big hitters there. All these heavy hitters there are going to be right there next to you. And the tumbleweed will be cracking and sneezing and screwing stuff up over there too. But it's going to be dope, man. I think you're going to love it. And yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity. It's been fun, learned a lot, met good people like yourself. And if we didn't have these platforms, I don't think a lot of this even would have taken place. Even if we were friends on Instagram, it wouldn't have gone, I don't think that substance would have been there. But yeah, it's been an interesting trek over the last year and a half, and I'm just grateful to be a part of the community.
Here's the $1 million question. How are you doing it all? Like how are you balancing? I know, right? The eyes getting real big because I have a mental breakdown every maybe every 2 weeks, every week. I don't know. It's wild sometimes.
I think I probably have mental breakdowns and don't even realize it. And then my family shakes me up and I'm staring off into space somewhere. I just have like a reboot. No, it's I think I've told you before, it's just you just make it part of your weekly regimen. Now, lately, I have been under the gun. The heat's really getting us. The heat, the work itself, training, having the owner operator responsibilities over just showing up and cutting, on your own. And then just life, family life in there mixed in, just normal life everybody leads. Sometimes it does get overbearing, and I have missed shows. I have missed episodes, and I'm honest. I tell people, hey, sorry I missed, and we're just living life here. And I try to make up for it by bringing cool people on like yourself, all these other guys out there, and sharing different perspectives from other people, other business owners in different industries with my listeners. How I do it is I just, carrot in front of the horse, man, knowing that someone out there is going to get a word, hopefully get a word. Somebody's going to, apply something potentially to their life, or I'll get that review that comes through that just touches my heart. And I'm like, this is awesome, man. It's just Christmas every day. That's what I say whenever those things come through. And yeah, it helps the algorithm or whatnot. And what's been said, the algorithm gods with the searches and stuff and rankings, I guess, just like anything else. But ultimately, it lets me know people listen and they take time out of their day to leave a review. I know it sounds simple. It sounds, like nothing. You go try to leave a review somewhere. Yeah, I'll get to it tomorrow. 2 years later,
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of keeps me driven to go. But there's always what Brian Fullerton would say, there's always a means to an end, I guess. And it's just throwing in one of those extra things to add to the community. Erica, this wasn't around 10 years ago. This wasn't around when I started. And, the old saying of trying to make our ceiling people's floors. Is that making our ceilings people's floors so they have a higher launching pad than what we even started from. And that'll eventually help all of us out because, with pricing, procedures, how people look at our different markets, it all works together. And it's kind of like an audio journal too. You kind of get on there and I'm like, oh, guys, I don't even know what to talk about. Here's what happened today.
Yeah. That's how I am on my Instagram stories. My stories are lit over there. I just post whatever. Like you're just hanging out with me throughout the day if you're following my stories.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
I told my husband, I was like, listen, like I'm fun over on Instagram. Like if you want to know what's going on with me in my life. And
you get him on there too. It trips me out. He'll just do these like,
He's so very chill.
Oh, man, chill. Josh is awesome.
Does your wife, does she work outside of the home?
No, she has 2 full-time jobs here.
Okay. Because that's what I was wondering, if she's involved in the business at all.
She'll bring me stuff sometimes, but no. I mean, I'll tell her the day-to-days. I'll run numbers and budgets by her, kind of what I'm thinking about, things like that. But that's really about it, And then sometimes things will pop up. I'll forget to tell her and like, hey, where did that expenditure come from? Or, oh, you're doing this? When were you planning on telling me? Oh, so, so no, she's not directly involved in business. She does help from time to time when she can, but not like on the day to day or.
It's like indirectly because you still bounce right off her. Yeah, that's kind of how Josh is too. He's like, I'll come to him with ideas, but he's not like in it, right? So it's not the day to day.
Sometimes that's better.
Yeah, and he offers me some pretty good insight. And I think with me, because right, I'm the woman. I'm the woman of the house. And so I carry that load of when I come home and the kitchen's messy or the house is messy. I'm like, I need to clean this. The house is messy because I wasn't able to take care of it. And I'm like, but literally have to tell myself, but you're working, you cannot do it all. And I was having that conversation with Josh, and I think that's why he bought me the vacuum cleaner for my
So
birthday.
brownie points, big man. Brownie points.
So I think that's why, because he was trying in his type of way to like help relieve me of,
Yeah.
of the stress. And I told him, I was like, I really, really appreciate that. Like, I really felt heard at that moment. Trying to communicate better with him it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle because as a business owner, I'm just like internalizing it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, nobody understands me. And it's like, you don't even understand yourself.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I saw you post that up, and those things are life changing, man. People's houses I go to have those. We had one. Actually, my mom bought one for us for Christmas some years back, and it wasn't very good. It was kind of the bottom of the totem pole. We'll give her props for trying, but we have a husky. That
Oh
didn't make
yeah.
it. It
No.
didn't make it. It just started moving around. It didn't really clean after a while, and I think we still have it. It's still charging, but we never run it. So, but he, no, that looks like a good one, man. No, good on
Yeah.
him. What's been going on in Erica's life? I know we last potted, what was it, January, February? I think the last time we were on. You've done some things in the business differently. I think you're not taking the poop away anymore. I guess you would say you're not a full service poop scooper anymore. How's that working out for you?
Yeah. Okay. So, I get bored and I like to try different things and, you know, try different stuff out in the business. So I've made some adjustments to not taking the waste. We don't do that. We let them know right away that we need to know where their trash can is. We double bag the waste that we pull out of the yard and we put it in their trash can. If they do not have a trash can, we put it in like a Home Depot or Lowe's bucket that is right outside their garage or wherever. And then we line that bucket with a trash bag. So then we put our other bags inside of it. Because those buckets can get really nasty. And
Yeah, they really can.
that was huge. That was huge for us because we were lugging around so much poop. The trucks were just smelly. Sometimes I couldn't find a place to dump because I'm still running this business
Mm,
out of my house, out of my
yeah.
garage, out of like a couple little storage container things, not containers, but like shelving units. And so that was a huge change, which I don't know if it stunted my growth. I'm not really too sure because I wasn't tracking the metrics, but we've had a nice amount of growth. But I have just been trying to work on being a better boss. Once I hire like 3 people, my brain literally starts malfunctioning.
Three
I
people, is that full time? You got three full-time workers, or are some part-time people in there?
I have one full time and then one that was part-time, like three,
Okay.
4 days a week, and then one super part-time, which is just one day. And that was
Okay.
fine. Like it was cool, but I just felt like I wasn't on top of things as much as I should have been. So I actually enlisted in a coach. Trisha Dork. She's
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Your last show I listened to, I think you had
yeah.
mentioned that. How's that
It's
going for
it's
you?
it's going good.
That's pretty neat.
She's helping me which I this is the stuff that I know that I need to do, right? How my brain is, I know all the things that I need to do, but it's all jumbled because I'm ADD AF, okay? And she's been helping me kind of like structure, like you need to have this policy and procedure. You need to have an onboarding form. And I know all of the information. It's just a matter of taking the time, sitting down and pulling all of that information out of my head and putting it in black and white. And that's really what she's been having me focus on, and dreaming. Um, I wasn't allowed to really dream when I was younger. This is something that was kind of like soul sucking to me. My dad told me nothing comes to a a dreamer but a dream. And so growing up, I just thought you can't dream. You got to be reality. You have to be in the moment. Life is serious. And so it was hard for me to even envision the future. Like, who's Erica going to be? I don't know if you listened to Kid Contra podcast the past couple days, but they were talking about what do you want Christmas Day to look like in 30 years? Right? I don't even know what I want it to look like in 5 years next year because I've never been able to be free to dream. And so that's what I'm working on. What's my perfect day?
Wow, that's something else. That's deep, man.
It
Wow.
is. And so I've been going to therapy, really trying to work through that, work through just like confidence. Like you'd be like, what do you mean, Erica? You got, six-figure business, you're doing all of these things, but it's a daily battle that I have with myself about, am I doing it right? Is this okay? And I just got to work through that and having confidence in myself and my decision making. So that's really it's the last year has been a personal development and growth more than like business growth. I got the business to making a good amount of money. Crystal's running full time. I got a part-time scooper. I'm working part-time, spending time with my husband and figuring out who Erica is and who she can be without the box.